Boys are going to bring the heat today.
As the leader of the Booner Pack, I lead from the front.
All right, boys. Lock in.
It's our core foundation, man. Grit.
I'm fired up. I'm fired the up, boys.
It's pumping right now. It's got my juices pumping, boys. All right. Hello. Booner here. Detroit Lions. First round preview. We're going to go into the second round here, talk a little bit. I'm just going to go about an hour here. Hop on here. I got a little time here throughout the day. I know it's pretty big. The NFL draft is a pretty big topic here in Detroit at the current moment. Detroit Lions selected Tyleik Williams out of Ohio State, the Ohio State University, down there in Ohio. And I just want to let's just have a little conversation here with the people. I know the people sometimes want to hear what I have to say, sometimes don't, which I'm okay with that. I'm just pumped up to hear. Let's see who's in the chat. I'll pull the chat up here because this is an hour of Booner. That's what this is right now. I have a lot of notes here that I took over the last couple hours thinking about not just the Tyleik Williams thing. I gave my thoughts on that this morning. If you were in at 8 a.m., we talked about that this morning a little bit on this 28th pick. But more so like tonight. Draft starts around 6 o'clock tonight. We're going to be live about 5:30. Want to kind of just go into that a little bit and get rolling with that. Someone said turn off the music. I control this, Keaton. Come on now. No, I just want to get into tonight. Friday night, second, third rounds. Lions own pick. I believe it's 60 and 102. So the 28th pick and like the 35th or 38th pick in the second round. John Bender said the people have a voice, Boone, but yeah, let's roll. John, I would love to, and this is going to be part of this hour here. It's going to be, I want to hear what the people have to say as well. I'm interested to see what the people want tonight because we're going to get right into the draft tonight and we're going to have that conversation. And when we do have that conversation, oh my gosh, the music just won't shut off. All right, there we go. When we do have this conversation, I want to know like what edge rushers. There are 20 edge rushers on the board. 20 edge rushers on the board that you could be like, that's a guy that could go second, third round. In my opinion, maybe 15, maybe 20 is an exaggeration. But I think there's a lot of guys here. I looked at the guys that they met with because that seems to be a big thing. I don't know if you guys saw Tyleik Williams met with them twice. Not once. We thought it was once. Comes back. Sounds like it was a second conversation. They met at the combine. They met back here as a top 30 in Detroit. They brought him in. But I'm expecting tonight, I think at the end of the day, one thing that has to happen tonight is edge rusher. You have to get an edge rusher, especially with how deep this edge class is going into day two. It feels like that's kind of a must that you need here in day two. So we're going to break that down. I also have other position groups. I'm interested to see how people feel with other position groups. Like if we go edge rusher with number 60 overall or they trade up, where do the Detroit Lions go with that next pick? Do we want offensive line? Do we think the wide receiver goes? I went through and looked at, and what I did for the people, and I hope the people kind of take a little bit into account on this. I looked at the meetings that they had with day two guys, position groups and players. That's what I was interested to see. Let's look at a couple comments here because this is going to be a comment or a chat-filled show. Coach Walk said, I feel that we built this team in the trenches, and when that becomes weak, you have to make it strong. I agree with that, and I think that's why they might go offensive line tonight. There's an opportunity potentially, and I think that's why they went interior, Coach Walk. Joseph said, Josiah Stewart and Savion. Yeah, we've talked about both of those guys. I think it might have been Jeff or Lukas who had both of them coming off the board to the Detroit Lions. Both of them did. All right, let's do this. Let's get into this thing real quick. I want to show the people something. Where was this that I had? I wish I could show highlights of Tyleik Williams. I wish I could. I'm not going to do that. I feel like we might get flagged for that. And I don't really run our YouTube. That's Jeff Iafrate. And I don't want to get a text from Jeff saying, Boone, what did you do? I did nothing. I talked to the people. All right, let's do this. We're doing an exercise here for the next hour. We're going to go through position groups. We're going to talk players. I wrote down, people. I wrote down 5 edge rushers. I have a theory tonight. I tweeted it out. First thing I did this morning, what I did before I went to bed last night, I had constructed a tweet. Very simple tweet, very simple thought process. Brad Holmes will trade back up in the second round tonight. Not back up. He'll trade from 60 or 102 and get into the 30s. I think he has a guy he loves. I think he woke up this morning. He's said it in years past. He wakes up on day 2 sometimes, and he has a guy, and he goes, I want him a Detroit Lion. And I think that he's going to do that today. I think he woke up this morning and said, there's a guy that I want. He did mention last night that he has some things in the works, some trades in the works. That's what I'm interested in that's going to happen. I think that he gets into the 30s and he goes and gets an edge rusher that he's just fallen in love with. So let's do this. Malik said, give us the path. I'm going to give you the path, and I want people to do this right now. There's 60-plus people in the chat. First off, like the stream, subscribe to the channel. I want you to put your top 3 edge rushers left on the board in order. In order. Z Digital said the Lions haven't met with any of the players at the top of the second. Z Digital, I need you to do your homework. Dig a little deeper. Dig a little deeper. I wrote down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 edge rushers that will be off the board tonight that the Detroit Lions met with. 5. And Malik said realistic or dream scenarios. I think anything is realistic tonight. There is no dream scenarios. I think the Lions could get all the way up to 35, 34 if they wanted to with the Cleveland Browns. I really do. So drop your 3. I'll queue a couple up here, and then I'm going to go over my top 5 edge rushers here over the next few minutes and break them down, and I'm going to see how many people have the same ones as me. And I'm interested. I really am, because there are a lot. Reversions to the mean. I don't even know how to say that. Being realistic at 60th, not who is currently there. I think you could do who's currently there. Brad mentioned last night he's looking to trade up. I mean, I have it here. My top 5 is if they move. It's every edge rusher. I ranked my top 5 remaining edge rushers. And realistically, I think you can go get anyone. I do. So let's start it off here. While the people put names in the chat, I'm starring a couple here on my end, so I have some to go back to. Number 1 edge rusher tonight, and I see it in the chat a lot. You trade up for Mike Green. Now, he's probably the best edge rusher left on the board. There are obviously some issues going on with Mike Green. I don't think there's a situation that Mike Green, in a normal scenario without all these, allegations, that Mike Green's not a first-round pick. My only thing with Mike Green is they met with him. If they feel like, hey, there's something going on with that allegation situation and the assault or whatever it was, then if they feel like it's good enough to still draft him and that's not a real situation, then I would have him at number 1 as the best edge rusher remaining. Number 2, you guys all know where I'm going with this one. Donovan Izaraku. I think this one's the most realistic. I think if anything, Mike Green as the best one is off the board first. And I think Donovan Izaraku. All right, real quick, I wanted to just say this. Robo 35, it was reported Mike Green had no top 30 visits. That's very interesting. That's one of the most interesting comments I've seen in the last 48 hours. I had no clue about that. But number 2, Donovan Izaraku, 16.5 sacks last year. If you could trade up, I think, what if John Hughes trade up to the 36, 37 and have a chance at Donovan Izaraku? I think those 2 guys, Mike Green and Donovan Izaraku, are the 2 probably dream scenarios when it comes to players and how they can perform. And those are first-round talents that Brad is like, we need to go get right now. This is where all the fun starts. This is where I'll say the realistic list starts. Is this fair? After those 2 guys, this is the most realistic list. Right after that, I'm going to write it down real quick. My realistic list. My top 3. Realistic. Outside of those top 2 guys. Number 1. This one you don't have to trade up as far for. It's worth trading for. And I actually have a thought process with this guy, or even his teammate. Do you guys all remember? I guess it's very current. Howie Roseman. Who does Howie Roseman love to draft? He loves to draft defensive linemen. Where does he like to draft them from? Georgia. Brad Holmes. Do we think that there's a chance he tries the Howie Roseman approach and he goes, he built our defensive line through one college program that was very great, won multiple national championships, had one of the best defensive lines in the entire country for a couple of years? Is there a chance that Brad Holmes looks at Ohio State and says, this was one of the best defensive lines in the country. They just won a national championship. They've been great for years. And he goes, I want that whole defensive line on my staff. I want them as my defensive line. And he just starts drafting. He goes back-to-back picks, Ohio State defensive lineman. Back-to-back. Number 3, my top realistic edge rusher, JTT, Ohio State. Last year, 12.5 sacks. If you watch his film, and I watched a lot of it today, I was like, all right, I want to kind of confirm. I've watched a lot of Ohio State with Klotz. We've seen it with Klotzy. I had Jack Sawyer in my very first mock draft going to the Detroit Lions. But I do think JTT is just better. Higher upside. He's got the size. He's got the strength. Jack Sawyer, a little more undersized. I don't even have him on my list here, just based off of that, of the guys that are available. But JTT, I'll tell you what, if you guys haven't seen him play, just go watch. Like, you could watch 2 minutes of it and realize what type of player he is coming off the edge. He drops in coverage there at the edge at points, but he still has the size. He has all the strength. He'll blow up a tackle. And he's just dominant. Run game, everything he does is dominant. I would probably have him outside of Mike Green and Donovan Izaraki. He's probably the best available edge rusher that is that will be potentially available if you trade up to, like, let's say 40 something. He might go in the late 30s. He might have to trade up. I love JTT. Maybe revision said, I agree, JTT better than Sawyer. 100%. Said that way back when. Better against the run too. 100%. 100%. And he said pretty much just a bull rush. I actually saw it, and maybe I'm wrong, but when I was watching him, I think I saw him hit a spin. I think I saw him do a couple different things. I'm not going to lie. I watched like a 20-minute video earlier this morning of JTT, and it looked like, hey, he can get in his bag a little bit if he needs to. And maybe that's something. Remember Aiden Hutchinson? Don't forget Hutch. Hutch had 1 or 2 moves. Over the last 2 years, Aiden Hutchinson in the offseason has developed a little bit more, and he's added to his arsenal. That was one thing after year 1. Everyone was like, Hutch only has 1 move. He only has that, and then he's just added. And he's became one of the best in the entire NFL. So I think adding JTT there, if you get Tyleik Williams in the first and then JTT in the second, I think that's a win for the Detroit Lions. I truly do believe that. Trying to think here. I don't know. I really do believe Akilio said day 2 starts at 8 or 6 o'clock tonight. 6 o'clock. We'll be live at 5:30. I really believe there is something with this, boys, where Brad Holmes is really looking at it saying, let's get this whole defensive line from this Ohio State national championship team. I don't know if he's not going to get Jack Sawyer, but I think he's like, let's just go off Ohio State. One of the best in the entire country. Number 2. Is it true the draft is at 7 tonight? We're going live real early. Maybe we should go live at 6 tonight if it's at 7. That's pretty early. Maybe we're live at 6 tonight. Maybe 6:15. Second one. This is Classy's guy. And I'll tell you this, too, to the people. If you watched this morning, you heard my story. I had a dream last night, a legit dream. I text Klotz it this morning, too. First thing I said, I had to text Klotz. My number 2 realistic pass rusher is Jordan Burch. And I went today, rewatch some of his stuff as well. 8.5 sacks, 11 tackles for a loss. He wasn't that productive years in the past, but this last year, he dominated in the Big Ten. I had a dream that I woke up this morning, and I forgot to put up a Jordan Burch post, and he was a Detroit Lion. And I text Klotz in my dream and said, Klotz, you are officially the ball knower. You called Tyleik Williams, and you called Jordan Burch in the second round. I don't know what else to say after that. That's an unbelievable call from Klotzy. But I wouldn't hate the Jordan Birch thing. The thing with Tim, I'm interested to see the pick you get. Can you get up around 50 to get him, 40 to get him? I don't think you have to go in the 30s to get Jordan Birch. I don't think he'll go that fast. I could be completely wrong. But number 3, and this guy I think you have to go a little higher for, is Nick Scoring out of Texas A&M. A lot of people he's in that kind of Shamar Stewart thing where it's like, hey, his production fell off at Texas A&M. When he was at Purdue, he had 10 plus sacks. He had 10 plus sacks at Purdue. 5 this last year in Texas A&M. Dominant force. Extremely dominant. Klotz doesn't like Nick Scoring. Klotz has been a D-line guru the last couple weeks. Z Digital said, might double down with Darius Alexander. He can move around the line. If we were moving to 3-4, we need more big bodies. I'll say we have a lot of big bodies. I don't think they go Darius Alexander. If they go defensive tackle today, I will shut the TV off. I'll just say that, to be honest. TV will go off. Malik said, I thought we were going to go Zabel, but Seattle decided to all of a sudden make the right decision and fix their interior line. That was a great move from Seattle. I actually had them projected to get an interior offensive lineman, I believe, as well. I think that was a good move from them. Nick Scoring was a monster before Texas made him gain 20 pounds. I think even when I don't think you're wrong. I think even at Texas A&M, I thought he was good. If you go watch him, I thought he was good. Klotz called Scoring a tweener. Birch has the measurables the Lions like. Yeah, they do. He does. I think all 3 of those guys, honestly, I think the Lions would like all 3 of them. And if we're being honest, the biggest thing of all of this is, I'll ask the chat, who do the Detroit Lions love to draft? Players they meet with. They want to get in front of you. They want to see what you're like. And obviously, we realized that last night that we don't always get to know the meetings that they have. Especially a guy like Williams last night, Tyleik, who we had no clue they had that second meeting with them, but they love to get in face to face with guys and say, hey, what is this kid about? Can he talk ball? Does he know ball? Can he break down the defense? 5 guys on the board tonight that could go in the second, third round that they've met with. Number 1, Nick Scoring. Just mentioned him. Number 2, Mike Green, which we don't know what's the Mike Green situation may just be the most interesting topic. I don't know what's going on with that. Number 3, not JTT, Jack Sawyer. Jack Sawyer is the other one. Number 4, Josiah Stewart. Josiah Stewart, I will say this. Josiah is one I think he ends up being a Detroit Lion. I think if they could go 2 edges. We've done mock drafts where we said tackle, edge, edge. Defensive tackle, edge, edge. So keep an eye out on the Josiah Stewart. I had him mocked to go to the Lions at 60 overall. And then Q Robinson out of Bama. Met with him as well. So you got 5 guys there. I think it's like, hey, keep an eye on them. Never met with Donovan Izraku. Never met with JTT. Maybe they met with JTT. In my mind, if they drafted Tyleik Williams and they met with Jackson Sawyer, I would guess they have a pretty good idea of what JTT is all about at Ohio State. They've been to all those games. They've seen film. It's hard to watch Tyleik Williams film without seeing JTT play, especially when he has a 12.5 sack season. So my guess is that they're pretty familiar with what JTT is, and if he is on the board and have an opportunity to get him, they could probably call up Tyleik real quick and get a little, hey, what is this kid like? What is he about? And they could figure that out. And I think Tyleik would love to have a college teammate here on that D-line. Let me go over a couple here real quick. RP said Izaraku, Scoring, Swinson. Coach Watt gave me 3. He gave me Mike Green. He gave me Mike Green, and then he also gave me Mike Green. Fair enough. Met with them. Donovan, Josiah, Kennard. Kyle Kennard's an interesting one. I want to see something about Kyle Kennard real quick. It just got really loud all of a sudden. I want to see his production again. SEC Player of the Year, I believe. 11.5 sacks. It's interesting. 3 forced fumbles. That's unbelievable, by the way. In the SEC, 3 forced fumbles, 11.5 sacks. Yeah. Kyle Kennard, I think that'll be a third round. I think if you really wanted an edge at 102, that would be a good one. Oladejo, Josiah, Birch, Savion, Batty. I think the Oladejo, that's an interesting one. Him and Josiah are 2 guys that they like. Reports are, hey, they love Oladejo out of UCLA. They love Josiah Stewart. They've met with him a couple times. So that's like, I feel like they're going to leave with one of those 2 tonight. Alex said, I'll just go realistic. Josiah Stewart, Braden Swinson, David Walker. David Walker, I think, will be Saturday. I could be completely wrong, though. But I think he could be a steal if you want to get him on Saturday in the 4th. A very high production, though. Very high production. All right, let's see what else we got here. Let me get out of that. All right, I see this a lot, and maybe it's just the same guy doing it, this Robo guy. Talking about Jaden Higgins. It is. Yep. He put Jaden Higgins in here a few times. Again, this is a chat show. The guys aren't in here with me at 2:00. So what I'm going to do, we're going to do a little chat show. Another activity. Drop in the chat. Outside of edge rusher tonight, you have 2 picks. Let's say edge rusher is designated as 1. Drop the position. 1, you get 1 pick. Drop the position. If you're Brad Holmes, you're drafting tonight. I have a list of 4 different position groups right now. Players they've met with and guys that are best available left in those position groups. Let's start dropping them. Joseph said safety. It's not Jonas, it's Jonas Sanker, or it's Jonas Sanker. I kept saying Jonas Strepko. Michael Lucci's, I'll bring this up too. I gave my opinion this morning on this, Michael, about the Jihad thing. It is brutal that he was on the board and you skipped over him because he went to Philly. And there's going to be I've said it a million times, and shout out Nick, who I used to have be on the sound, Woodward Nights. He is getting ripped online right now because he had the comment of Jihad's on the board. Mike Green, Izraku, they're on the board, and you went Tyleik. I said it last night. I'll say it again today. I like Tyleik as a player. I do agree with that, to where you have a very deep defensive line group or defensive tackle group, and there were some very, 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 very good players left on the board. I don't think that's a bad thing to say. I don't think Nick's out of the realm of having that opinion at all. I don't think it's that crazy. Brad knows it too. He just got his guy. That's all it was. He felt that position group was thinner than others in this draft, and that was the reason he made the decision. Sounded like maybe that he still felt like there might have been better players on the board as well. It was just, hey, defensive tackle's thin. We're not going to get a guy like this in the 2nd, 3rd round at this position group. So I don't think Nick's wrong. I think he's a good point. Could stand on it. All right. Robo 35, wide receiver, safety, linebacker. So far, the only one that out of the 4 positions that I wrote down, do not have safety. But I would like safety. Would love safety. I got a boy wants safety. Linebacker. 935-115 offensive line. AJ, O-line. RP, center, guard, O-line. We have no depth at wide receiver. Literally the worst on the team with safety. So that's the pick, I guess. Guard. Wide receiver. Line, wide receiver. Jonah from Arizona. Quarterback. This has to be a troll. Come on, Dom. Drop a real one. Wide receiver all line. By the way, too, they did meet with Jalen Milroe. Look at this. My notepad. Just so the people know if it happens tonight. Just a big reminder. Met with Jalen Milroe. I just reminded myself. Don't be shocked. Don't be shocked. It'd be crazy. Hey, what did the Eagles do a couple years ago when they had a quarterback in Carson Wentz? What did they do? Remember all the Eagles fans that crashed out? Got Jalen Hurts. Won him a Super Bowl 4 or 5 years down the line. Donkey Kong, wide receiver, offensive line. We went with him twice, so Brad knows what passed on at least. Yeah, that is fair. Jihad, they didn't meet up with Jihad. That is very fair. get an edge tomorrow. So day 3 edge. You don't want a day 2 edge. That's interesting. Edge, O-line. Good chance that Darius comes back. Agreed. David, edge, O-line. All right. And then Attila the Hun. What a name. Edge, guard, wide receiver, safety, Cam Scatapoo. Cam is now a position. Malik said, I'd rather wait till 2026 for a quarterback. Let's have this quarterback conversation in 30 seconds. You draft, if you're a contender, you draft a quarterback every single year. It doesn't have to be in the 2nd, 3rd, 4th. It shouldn't be in the 2nd, 3rd, 4th round. It should be 5th, 6th, 7th round. You always draft a quarterback to keep the rotation going, to find a guy. Example, Patriots, 49ers. I only gave 2. Chiefs. I could keep going. There's a lot more, but it happens. If you're a contender, you do it. All right. First position group we'll do. Let's do wide receiver. Wide receiver. I think there's one player to keep an eye on tonight. Obviously, Jane Higgins, Luther Burden. Those are like, hey, if you really want to trade up, if you're trading up, I'm guessing it's for an edge. Not a wide receiver. But if you move up, it's probably for an edge. But there is Jane Higgins, my favorite wide receiver in this draft class. Not best, favorite. Not best, favorite. Remember that. Love Jane Higgins. Pat Bryant, potentially tonight, 3rd round. I would say at 102, it would have to be that, unless you kind of get somehow he falls till tomorrow and you can snag him. Luther Burden just sitting there. If he starts to fall, wouldn't be shocked. I know it's a similar position as Amon-Ra, the way he plays. Just BPA at that point. But the one player that they didn't meet with, the wide receiver that they met with, Alec Ayomanor, Stanford. I tweeted out when we were at the combine. I saw the tweet today. It somehow came across my desk. It said, keep an eye out if the Detroit Lions have an opportunity and Alec is on the board. Blocks, doesn't drop passes, great route runner. Feels like, I'll say this, feels like an Amon-Ra type guy when it comes to like work ethic and things like that at the combine, man. He showed out. He really did. He really did. So I would say wide receiver. A lot of people are putting wide receiver in there. I would say I would say for me, 3. Jaden Higgins, Alec Ayomanor, and Pat Bryant. If one of those 3 go to the Detroit Lions tonight, I might do a Kool-Aid chug. I don't have the Kool-Aid with me right now. I might do it. The Stanford from wide receiver gave Travis Hunter fits. Correct. Let me hold on a sec. I'm going to pull up his stats for you guys because we did this on the show a while ago. But when Alec played Colorado, he dominated Travis Hunter. And that's not an exaggeration. Back in 2023, I believe it was. 13 receptions, 294 yards, and 3 touchdowns. That was versus Travis Hunter. 294 yards and 3 touchdowns versus Travis Hunter, the 2nd overall pick, the Heisman Trophy winner. And they met with him at the combine. Typically, if they're meeting with them again, that's a chance that, hey, that they're on his board or he is on their board. Tafka Day said, how often does an offensive guard get drafted 12th overall or earlier? That seemed like a bit of a reach by Dallas. I don't know. I think they just got their guy, if I'm being honest. I don't think it had anything to do with reaching. I said it last night if you're watching our draft show. One thing in this draft that I noticed, it was just, hey, guys are going to get their guys. It has nothing at that point about reaching or anything. It was a weaker draft class that you weren't going to see. It wasn't a typical draft. All right. Heard Steve Smith say he takes plays off when the ball isn't going to him. That'll change in Detroit. He's got everything you need out of him. You bring him in here, put him around JMO Amon-Ra, he's not taking plays off. He won't. All right, let's go to offensive line. I got a couple names here for you guys just to keep an eye on. I don't know what they'll do. Tackle and 1 guy. I got 3 tackles, 1 guard. These are all guys they met with. They met with 3 tackles that are potentially on the board now. They've met with other tackles that went in the first. 3 tackles to keep an eye on today. Number 1, Anthony Belton, North Carolina, or NC State. Number 2, Charles Grant, William & Mary, tackle. That's what people are going to hate that one. Who was it? Was it Jeff? Someone had mocked Charles Grant to the Detroit Lions in the second or third round, Klotz or Jeff. And it just gave me flashbacks of Colby Sorsdale. I hate to do that to people, and like I hate to do that to Charles Grant and be like, Colby, because of the school, but it's hard not to. It's hard not to. The third tackle that they met with that potentially could go off the board today is Emory Jones out of LSU. The guard that they met with, this is a big one, Dylan Fairchild. I had him in I think my very first mock, Dylan Fairchild, guard out of Georgia. Any of these Georgia guards, I'll tell you what, or Georgia players, there's I want to pull it up here so I don't mispronounce names. Best available. The center, Jared Wilson, Tate Ratledge, Dylan Fairchild, any of those Georgia guys, yeah, I think you're good with. I think you're good with. If that comes across our board tonight, we're happy with. Third position group we have here. Linebacker. One player in here, I think it's like very, very good chance that he comes off the board today if they go linebackers. Chris Pupal Jr., Ole Miss. He's the third. He's ranked right now the third. He is ranked the third linebacker that's still available. Carson Swessinger from UCLA. I think he goes like 35, 36. I saw a lot of mocks of Carson in the first round. Demetrius Knight is the second, and then Chris Paul Jr. the third. Detroit Lions didn't just meet with him. They met with him twice, top 30, and at the combine. Steven said poop. Hey, respect for the name. It is Pooh Paul. Yes, Pooh Paul. Chris Paul Jr. Jackson Slater. ETN, I don't know if they will. That might be a Lions pick, to be honest. That might be a Lions pick. They've met with him 2 times, and I think Brad loves him. I think Brad's going to try and bring him in. Also on the list here, I got some corners. I got Quincy Riley. These are just guys to keep an eye on tonight to the Detroit Lions. Quincy Riley out of Louisville. Azrae Thomas out of Florida State, and Darian Porter out of Iowa State. They've met with all 3. They're all day 2 guys. Best available, they're 6th, 5th, 6th, and 7th left on the board here out of corners. So those are just guys to keep an eye on. I kind of wrote down just a list today. I was like, I need to give the people a list of like, hey, that's your guy. That is your guy. Tony Martinez. Let's go get Green, JTT, Izaraku, Jackson, or Birch in the second, and we're good. Yeah, if you get one of those guys, I'm happy if you're walking out. And then the second pick, in my opinion, I'll stand on it. Give me a wide receiver. Give me Alec. Give me Jaden Higgins, Pat Bryant. Find a way to get someone. Josh Prince, Jack Sawyer to Detroit by tonight or tomorrow. No CBs unless it's round 6 or 7, por favor. I think they might go corner. I think there's a chance they go corner tonight. I'm going to write this down right now so we don't forget. This is for the people. Only position groups they go tonight. It's either going to be a wide receiver, obviously number 1 edge. Edge tonight, wide receiver, O-line, corner, or linebacker. Those are the only 5 that they'll do tonight. That'll be the 5. Edge, wide receiver, O-line, corner, linebacker. Those 5. Don't be shocked. All right. Unless for some reason Will Johnson's at 60. I don't think Will be. I think typically if you see a guy that's injured like that falls out of the first round, I mean, he's top 10 talent. There's obviously, I don't know if anyone saw the reports. He has a knee injury that teams are concerned of. Typically when that happens, a guy just falls to the second, and you just don't want to waste a first round pick on him, not knowing what the knee injury is. He's a top 10 player if he's healthy. If he doesn't have any injuries, you could argue he's a top 10 guy. So I think there's a 0% chance he's at 60. Listen, I had him at 20. No, I had him at 32 at first on my mock draft, and I got laughed at. Just want to throw that out there. What if they don't draft edge? They're going to draft an edge. Just watch the short, Boone. I appreciate the optimism. I was worried y'all would be upset. Upset about defensive tackle, Paul? Just want to know and clarify that. Steve Wiles, Isaac Tesla. Can I say something about Isaac without Klotz here? I want permission from the people. Would love permission to say something about Isaac Tesla. Just gonna wait on some people to say it. Boom. Permission granted. All right, there we go. Malik said permission granted. Joseph said no. I'm saying I saw Malik say permission granted first. I saw Etienne say go ahead. I love Isaac Tesla as, his story, what he's done. Hillsdale College, where I coached, I used to coach against Hillsdale. Went on the road there, played there a couple times. Great story. Great family. They were sitting right in front of us at the combine. Had like a 30 person cheering section. Is anyone concerned about the production in the SEC? Only 500 yards back-to-back years to take him in the third, potentially second. Am I missing something? I'm just saying. I'm just saying. Klotz was worried about Shamar Stewart's production in the SEC. He had KJ Jefferson the year before throwing him the ball. I'm with Z Digital. 4th or 5th round. I'm all in on it. Saturday, I'm in. If we wake up Saturday morning and we're like, let's go get Isaac Tesla, he's on the board, I'm in. He wasn't wide receiver 1 at Arkansas. That's like, but like, you're taking a wide receiver 2. But there are some high-end wide receiver 2s that go in the first couple rounds. But like, those are like wide receiver rooms that you're sitting there like Ohio State. Like Emeka Ibuka was a wide receiver 2, but he was on a different level. The man like broke records at Ohio State. We're talking about like Luther Burden's going to potentially be on the board. Alec Omaner, who had a 300-yard game versus Travis Hunter. And you would rather go Tyleik Gessler over him? Klotz sent me his wide receiver rankings yesterday. I'm not going to give them all out of sanctity of me and him, our text. I'll just say, an Alec Omaner, who had 300-plus yards on Travis Hunter and 3 touchdowns and 13 catches, was not on his top 10 list. But Isaac Tesla was. I would rather have Xavier Strepo in the 3rd round than Isaac Tesla. So, I don't know. It's just I think he's a day 3 guy. I'm gonna be honest. I don't think he's a day two guy. That's just I've been waiting to say it. He follows us, I think, on Instagram. So I respect. My job isn't to be nice sometimes, though. Bears about to stack up with our picks tonight. Beware Lions fans. I don't know what that means, MP. But wouldn't be mad with scoring either. Yeah, I love scoring. I think he could be good. All right, let's just keep going through some chats here. I'm about to go for probably like 10 or 15 more minutes. We're just talking to the people. That's all. Nothing crazy. Anyone figured out what Williams' GPA was? What does this matter? Are we talking GPA? What is that? We're a quarterback away. That's obvious. What y'all want? The millionth linebacker? Have your quarterback. You have a quarterback. Jared Goff. Yeah, wide receiver 1. I see. I like the kid from Colorado State too, Horton. Yeah. Is it Troy Horton? I think. Let me see. Yeah, Torrey Horton. Yeah, he's good. I do like too. If you really wanted to wait and say you don't get Pat Bryant, Xavier Restrepo would be fine, but like a Nick Nash, 6'3", 200. Man had 1,400 yards last year, 16 touchdowns at San Jose State. 16 touchdowns. Xavier Restrepo, Ain't what we need though. We need the X wide receiver. Listen, and this is where I think people need to start kind of turning their phases a little bit. And I know X is like the need. If there is a dude on the board, you just take him. You just do it. I don't care. Brad has tried. I don't know how do we tell people this. He doesn't look at the depth chart. He doesn't look at the defensive tackle room. There's 20 guys in that room right now. 20. Any chances of the Lions drafting Cam Scatterbo? If he falls, I would say maybe that's why they met with him, just in case he gets to Saturday. Just because this running back class is so deep right now. I don't know how he would fit in. I mean, you just signed Demont, Jameer, and I know I said, hey, don't look at the depth chart. I don't know. That would be an interesting one. If they drafted Scatterbo, you would have to think there's something in the works with like knowing like, hey, Demont isn't going to play or not going to sign again, or I don't know. Because that would be interesting because Scatterbo is a guy who could impact like today. I'm not listening to Motown Mitch anymore. Yeah, Malik, I don't know. I don't think so. The wide receiver and DNs remaining is crazy. Lions fans need to chill. Yeah, it's a deep. We're talking about again. Me and Jeff talked about it a million times. It's not a star draft. You're not going to go out there and get all pros instantly. You're just going to get a lot of dudes that can start for you. I look at starters as Pro Bowlers, and I look at stars as all pro players. I think you can get some Pro Bowlers in this draft class in the second day. I think today I saw Easy tweeted out today, and he said Brad knows. He knows that all of this money is due, and he knows what's going on, and that he has to go out there and make some moves today. He understands it. He knows that he has to get some starters. It's kind of a must do situation tonight. I appreciate this, Plazu. He said, I'm a Bears fan, but I like to check in on rivals, and you provide good insight, good stuff. Bear down. Appreciate that a ton. That's awesome. Go Lions, but one pride. Dante Thornton, have another burner down the field, 6'4", 4'3", 40. All right, this is one that I think is realistic. I had him mocked in the 7th round. He could go undrafted, but Land Larson out of UC Davis. This is a good one. Or trade back and wait for what you need. Are you talking about tonight? This isn't going to happen. If anything, they stay at 16, 102, and then they trade up. There's 0% chance that they trade down. That will not happen. If it happens, Malik, if this happens, what will I do? I will do something. I will eat one. If they trade back from 60 tonight and they don't pick, if they pick after 60, so if they pick from 60 up, I win. If they pick 61 and on, I'll eat one of those blazing wings at Buffalo Wild Wings. Blaze one. Can't do them all. I'll do one. I hate hot things too, man. Booner, thank you for all the money you made me the last couple of years. Always appreciate that, Ray. I do remember Ray. Ray's a legend. Been watching for a while. He runs like Monty. Who is that, Z? Z, drop that real quick. I'm going through the chat here. I'll eventually come back upon it. Are we worried about Golden to Green Bay? I would say yes. That was one of the scariest picks yesterday. That was one of the scariest picks that I've seen yesterday. Would you trade a second next year and this year's second to move 35 to 40 to get your edge? Steve, would I do it? Brad will do it. And it's not going to have to be a second next year. I think it'll just be potentially your comp third next year. So you have 2/3 next year. Just use one of them to move up. I think a team would do that. I do. I don't think you would have to give up a second. Maybe if the team is playing hardball, but yeah, this is actually a really good point. I think this is a big deal. Amon-Ra St. Brown actually said it on a podcast a couple months ago. He was like, "Listen, if you have a pass rush, it doesn't matter what corners you have." And that wasn't like a shot at his corners, but that was just more so like if you get to the quarterback, What's a quarterback doing with the corners? It does not matter. So if you end up not getting an edge rusher, and I think people need to calm down a little bit when it comes to the edges, and Doc says, don't tell the people to calm down. Zadarius Smith's going to be a Detroit Lion. And if you grab a guy here tonight and you end up with a Donovan Raku, Zadarius Smith, or a Jordan Birch, Zadarius Smith, I'm trying to think of some other ones. Nick Scorton, Zadarius Smith, the JTT, Zadarius Smith. Then like, listen, that's a Super Bowl. That's a Super Bowl edge group right there. Still don't know why you are dying on the running back hill. We have 4. I mean, Coda, I don't think anyone's dying on the hill. They've met with running backs. I don't think it's anything to do with what's in your room. Craig is your 4th. Or no, Craig's your 3rd. And you probably this year, and this is nothing at Craig, I think Craig's a great running back. This is a deep running back class. You can find a guy that's better than Craig, in my opinion. Scadaboo. You can. Sione Vaki, you want to say he's a project player. That's what it is. Brad said it. We brought him in because he hasn't played running back full time, so we're going to see what he's going to be like, and we're going to try and work with him to get that. He's a project player. If you get a guy that can play right away, you do it. You don't rely on project players, Coda. Again, you're looking at the depth chart and instead of looking at great players. You're not following Brad's philosophy. If you're not going to take a quarterback, the biggest need. Oh, Dom's the one that doesn't like Jared Goff, I think. Everyone doing okay after the Williams pick. Doing great, JT. By the way, shout out to JT and shout out to the Bucks. Great pick, Emeka Ibuka. I think that might be the best wide receiver room in the NFL right now is the Bucks. And it might be the most underrated offense in the NFL right now. Make sure, too, we have 154 people in here. If everyone hits the like button, we just get 150 likes. It pushes all of this, all of our stuff, our channel, everything out to the algorithm. It's literally just a one-click way to help the fellas out. Just keep growing. So if we can get 150 likes in here, that'd be sick. That'd be cool. That'd be pretty sick. We got 40 right now. Can we get to at least 100? Do you think if we traded back, Tyleik would have been there, let's say 10 spots? I don't know. See, that's why it's hard to say. That was Brad's guy, but if he was the next rated defensive tackle, you would think that there is going to be a team that wants a defensive tackle and has him rated as high as Brad did. Brad's one of the best GMs in the NFL. He doesn't just have guys rated that high just to have him there. And if he has him rated high, I'm sure there are guys around there that have him rated just as high. So I'm sure he has a good feel for that. Jim said no one wanted to trade up to 28. I don't think that's the case. Brad said last night that they had multiple calls. He just declined some offers based off of he didn't feel comfortable trading back and still getting Tyleik Williams. So he said there were teams that reached out to him. I'm guessing the Giants that ended up doing the trade, I think, with either the Falcons or the Rams. The Falcons moved up. I'm sure they called. I think they actually moved up with the Rams. So I'm sure the Falcons called the Lions and tried to move up. So there were definitely teams who made that move and were reaching out. I think Brad just said nope. Nope to all of them. All right, let's see what else do we have here. Are you going to watch a Tyleik Williams press conference? Is that today? I guess I should text someone and see if there's a press conference. Oh, yeah, it's at 2:45. It's any minute now. 500 people in there waiting. I'll end here in a couple minutes. Once that starts, everyone's staying here. Once that starts, we'll all head over there. I'm not going to watch it live on here, but lots of good edges left. Just need to get one tonight. Savion Jones. Everyone keeps saying Savion in the third. 280 with a sub 159 split. Yeah, I don't hate Savion. What was his let me pull him up real quick. See what his production was. Savion, where you at? There you are. 4.5 sacks, 2.5 sacks, 4.5 sacks. A little low. I look at production. Remember, One thing, especially when we went to the combine this year, we spoke with Matt Eberflus, which I know people hate him because of the Bears, but he's still a very, very good defensive coordinator, one of the best defensive minds in the NFL at the end of the day. One thing he said, hey, we look at when we're drafting an edge rusher is production. Can't teach production. Can't teach it. Can't teach production and can't teach size and all of that. Biggest need is online. Got to help your good, not this guy, Dom, man, keeps getting me. I got to read his comments before I throw him up there. Oh, man. Tyleik is about to speak. All right, let's do this then. We'll end it here. Is there any last thoughts from everyone? How do you feel about another third or fourth round quarterback in trading Hendon? I don't think they'll do it. I think, again, my opinion on that stays the same. You draft a quarterback 5th, 6th, 7th round. You're not doing it tonight. You're not. I'm out on that. Double up Ohio players and take Jack Sawyer. Brandon, if you were at the beginning of the show, I said I think there's something going on with Brad Holmes when you see Howie Roseman and how Howie Roseman fell in love with the Georgia defensive line and started taking all those guys when they were at the top of their game winning national championships. I think Brad Holmes is looking at the Ohio State D-line just like Howie looks at the Georgia one and says, I want that D-line in my building. Add that D-line with my building with the Liam and Aiden Hutchinson. I think they go JTT, but I wouldn't be shocked if it's Jack Sawyer as well. Number one, for me, let's just review this before we leave. Number one realistic option at edge tonight to me would be JTT. You still have Mike Green and Donovan there. You really would have to go up and get them. I don't know if he would go if Brad would go up that far. Number one, JTT. 2, Jordan Birch, and then Nick Scorton, and then obviously Josiah Stewart and Jack Sawyer are 2 names I think to keep an eye on, especially Josiah Stewart that they've met with a million times. And then I'll just real quick before people leave. Jane Higgins, Elika Ayo Minor, and Pat Bryant in the wide receiver room. Anthony Belton, Charles Grant, Emory Jones, tackles. Dylan Fairchild tonight, guard potentially. Chris Paul Jr., linebacker out of Ole Miss tonight. Kobe King, I think a 3rd-round option could be tonight. Quincy Riley, Azrae Thomas, and Darian Porter corners tonight. I think that's the list to look at. When you guys see the draft picks tonight, come back to the show and you'll hear one of those names called tonight. So, yeah, I'll talk to you guys later tonight. We will be live. Hold on, let me make sure real quick. We'll probably be live at 6. We'll probably do 6, maybe just a little after 6. I'll say 6 as of now. Just because the draft starts at 7. I thought it started at, that's on me. I thought the NFL draft tonight started at 6 o'clock. Can we get a confirmation? Is it at 6 tonight? How do I even figure that out? Someone help me out here. 6 Eastern, 7 CST, Central. Jomo said Lion King said 7. It's at 7 Eastern. Okay. That's on me. Hand up. I created our schedule for this week for all the shows and sent it out to all the guys. And I had NFL draft starting at 6. Brad Holmes would be he would not, if I was his intern, he'd be like, Booner, what is this? All right, 7 o'clock. We'll be live. Just keep an eye out, probably around 6 o'clock. We'll be live all night long for the 3rd and 4th round, probably 7 until I'm guessing it's going to go to 11. If you guys don't remember, tomorrow we're going to be live in the morning as well to break down the last 2 rounds and preview the final 3 rounds of the NFL draft at noon tomorrow. And then we'll be live noon. I know it starts at noon tomorrow. No one can mess me up on that one. We'll be live noon tomorrow until the end of the draft. And then Sunday, we'll do a final draft preview of all of the picks for the Detroit Lions. And then 1 o'clock, the Detroit Pistons, baby. Down 2-1, back at home. Try and make it 2-2. I'll talk to you guys later. Make sure you guys head over. Hey, we have a press conference to it then. I'll see you guys tonight. Love you all.